When I first met Nienke, and I sort of like fell in love with her, she told me one night early on that she had a boyfriend and she couldn't really be with me. She wasn't available. And I was devastated. I remember spending a weekend in bed listening to Kate Bush albums and just processing my grief. I loved her so much. I so wanted to be her boyfriend. And it turned out he wasn't her boyfriend. He was just this guy that she really liked. And his name was John. And Nienke and I did eventually get together, and we were a couple. But the whole time, she had a crush on that guy, John. And, I understood that. And at one point, they were talking, and somehow it was decided that they would have sex. And she told me this, and I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. You can have sex with this guy. And she said, well, yeah, but I don't want you there. I don't want you around. Because we lived together. We lived in the same apartment, with other roommates. There were a bunch of us. And we each had our own room. But, I was just 2 doors down. I was like, well, would you want me to leave town so you can have sex with this guy? And she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, fine. I guess I could go visit Teddy and Bob in Northampton. And she was like, yeah, do that. I just don't want to have sex with him with you around. I think it would really cramp my style. So I went to Northampton and I spent the weekend, and I was, a little jealous and a little bummed that she was having sex with this guy that she was in love with. But, I was okay with it. And, I understood and I accepted it. And they had sex. And she said it wasn't great. And it didn't lead to anything. I mean, if anything, it had the opposite effect. It clarified that there was no real mutualness involved. And that was that. And I thought, okay, she got out of her system and now we can just be a couple. And then one day she said, that didn't work out, but I really want to be able to see other guys. And I was like, I'm okay with that. You can see other guys. And she said, yeah, but I don't feel comfortable seeing other guys if we're living together. So I want you to move out. And I was like, what? Why do I have to move out for you to see other guys? And she was like, because it cramps my style. And I was like, Nienke, come on. I don't know where am I going to go? She's like, I don't know, just get another place. Maybe you could go to New York. I was like, I don't want to go to New York. This is my apartment. But I finally said, you know what? Okay, fine. I'll go to France. I'll go to France and I'll raise money for my Rimbaud film. She was like, perfect. Go to France. So I went to France so that she could see other guys. And I got really depressed in France. And I called her one day and said, I'm really depressed. I don't know what to do. I know you're trying to see other guys. And she said, no, just come back. If you're depressed, just come back. I said, is that okay? She said, yeah, come back. It's fine. I don't want you to be sad. I was like, okay, I'll come back. So I flew back and I just met this woman in France right after I called her and said I was going to come back and bought a ticket. And I really liked her. But I came back because I had a ticket and Nienke said to come back. And when I got back, I thought I would, stay at the apartment with her. And she said, you can't stay in the apartment. I said, what? You said to come back. She said, yeah, but not in this apartment. I said, well, why can't I? She said, because I'm seeing somebody. And I said, Nienke, why didn't you tell me that on the phone when I called you? She said, because I didn't want you to feel bad. You seemed really depressed. I didn't want to make it worse. And I said, Nienke, if I'd known, I would have stayed. She said, well, I'm sorry. I was trying to be nice. And I was like, well, where am I going to live? She said, I don't know, get another apartment. So I got another apartment, and Isabel, that woman in France, sent me this tape in the mail. And it was a tape of her crying and talking about how much she loved me and was in love with me. And these words were just balm for my soul, somebody loves me, somebody's crying over me. And this girlfriend of mine that I came all the way here for is seeing someone else and wants me out of the apartment. And so Isabel and I just started talking on the phone every night, all night long. And she came to New Haven to be with me in my new apartment. And as soon as she arrived, Nienke got crazy jealous. And she was just crying and crying and crying all day long. And her roommates were just trying to console her. I didn't know what to do. So I went over there with Isabel, and I said, here's Isabel. I thought you should meet. And Isabel didn't know what to do, but Nienke just cried and cried. She couldn't even talk. And I couldn't take it. I didn't know what to do. So I just moved to Boston with Isabel. And then Isabel and I decided to move to California. And I wanted to see Nienke one more time before we moved. I just needed to see her again and to sort of heal or just see if there was still chemistry or if I was even with the right person. And then Isabel started crying and crying and crying, and she couldn't stop crying. She was so worried that I was going to get back together with Nienke. And, I can't stand tears. I couldn't stand Nienke's tears. I couldn't stand Isabel's tears. And even now, I can't stand my kids' tears. If my kids cry, I just lose it. And so I said, okay, I won't visit her. And so I didn't, but I resented it. And I started hating Isabel for preventing me from seeing Nienke. And our relationship started to deteriorate. And it was in the unhappiness of that I started obsessing about prostitutes. And that's when everything kind of got really bad.